The history of Andover, you get the mingling of individual people's stories, the regular people who lived here, died here, loved here, built their families here, along with all the famous names of people who came through town. Andover has their fair share of those, from presidents who passed through here to famous authors like Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Our history has shaped the community that we are today, particularly our history as a mill town, because this was a place where the Industrial Revolution happened, all along the banks of the Shawsheen River.
Looking at the maps, you can see how this community evolved over time. That progression from agriculture to industrial, now to Andover more as a bedroom community.
I'm really fascinated with the group of people working on this Andover Tomorrow project, who reflect education, who reflect history, who reflect the business community. I represent, I guess, a group of senior citizens. There are the young people. There's quite a diversity of age, of background, and of interest in the community, and I think that's critical. Well, one of the things that the Andover Tomorrow group has done is conduct guided tours of some of the critical areas that we're talking about.
My first site walk was a very eye-opening experience. It was a Saturday morning. There were about 60 people there. It was kind of like a town meeting, just, set outdoors. I can't even describe the feeling of looking over at the river for the first time and realizing that there is so much potential in this area and we can really take this project and run with it.
There have been a lot of meetings where different groups have been asked to sit down with a map of that area and some crayons and post-it notes, and basically the question is, what would you like to see here?
The point of this community engagement was not just a placebo to say, yeah, here's a marker, go do your thing, and we've already got it all figured out. This was really a sincere question to the 200 or so people that have been engaged thus far in this exercise about how do you want to shape Andover? And the question was asked with sincerity, and the information was received and listened to with sincerity.
So this is an opportunity to shape a community over the next, 50 years or so.
The intersection is just a huge jumble of cars and trains and people trying to cross. So you have the train tracks cutting right through the center of the intersection, slicing it in half, and then you have a five-way intersection surrounding it with cars traveling over the tracks. If a train has to pull through, there are cars parked every which way waiting for the train to go, and it makes it virtually impossible as a pedestrian to walk across the street. The amount of near accidents that we've seen and how it's really unsafe for kids walking from the high school and from West Middle School just proves that something needs to be done with the area.
Everybody who goes on those guided tours looks at it all and comes up with the same conclusion. It's about the river. And that's the thing that physically goes through the town, but also goes through the town's history.
Andover has a wonderful history of canoe clubs that existed all along the Shawsheen River in between the mill districts. At the same time there was industrial use in the river, there was always recreational use along the river.
I think people really do like to have some place where they can go and think without having the day-to-day bombardment of society, the cars and traffic, and they like to commune with nature. There's a little bit of Ralph Waldo Emerson in all of us.
The river is very nice here, and if we develop the Shawsheen River Greenway, there'll be parks and places to have picnics, and people can go there and have fun, either alone or with their families.
I think people don't even know that river is there. And if we were able to make it more accessible, the students could do any number of science-based and environmental science-based projects. There's just all kinds of potential there.
So if the Riverwalk ever happens one day, it would be super awesome to see different generations all enjoying a place. People running with their dogs or just enjoying what the river has to offer.
It was about 1815 when first industrial use along the river began. Andover's mills produced primarily textiles, cotton, linen, and wool. Andover's 20th century industrial history is a lot like that of Lowell and Lawrence. That's when textile manufacturing in New England moved, and that's when the mills fell into disuse. And then it wasn't until the early 1980s that people started to look at the mills as a resource again.
We built custom cabinets and countertops. I like the character of the building. I enjoy architecture and history, and I think to see some of these buildings vacant for so long is kind of sad.
We've been here for 7+ years, and so many of the buildings have been vacant for the entire duration of our stay so far. I would imagine that if more people knew that we were here and they were walking by and they would think about us, that it would absolutely be beneficial to our business.
We can turn those mills into a thriving, bustling commercial area, which when you promote commercial development, you, by its very nature, will help reduce residential taxes. As we were walking through there, I envisioned these wonderful little restaurants and coffee shops, and I envisioned little stores with crafts and clothing and all kinds of things happening, and a thriving residential neighborhood that surrounds it.
My hope for the Mill District is that it becomes an all-inclusive community. It has mixed use with residences, businesses, services. The variety of different shopping venues that we have to offer already, and that with the Historic Mill District would ensure that people who are coming from out of the area wouldn't spend just a few minutes picking up 1 or 2 items, but would decide to spend the entire day. Every business in Andover benefits if Andover is considered a destination place to shop.
At one point in time, 30 years ago, Amesbury, along with its other river companion, Newburyport, was just decrepit. They were run-down brick buildings. Newburyport got urban renewal money and was about to tear all that down. And to their credit, the Newburyport citizenry rose up and said no.
Newburyport is an awesome example. They've completely transformed their whole downtown. They've utilized the waterfront that they have, incorporated their amazing history that they have, and we've also visited Amesbury. They also have a river that they've used with their flatbread pizza company.
In Amesbury, efforts were put together in the early 80s to do what's called the Upper Mill Yard.
And now what they're doing is taking that one step further. So the Upper Mill Yard has been built and has been functioning for a little while, so now they're looking at the Lower Mill Yard. And there's so many similarities between Amesbury's Mill Yard areas and Andover's Historic Mill District.
People love Andover. I moved back. It was easy for me to move back because I love it, right? Most of my friends love it, but are hesitant to move back because there's a lack of things to do. When I get off the train on a Friday night, the last thing I want to do is drive to Newburyport to go have fun with my friends. Why can't we do that in Andover? And guess what? You spent all that money, all that time in Andover, rather than going to another town.
We're very happy that these community conversations are happening here at the Andover Historical Society, because the role of the Historical Society in the community is to provide history and context to help inform decisions about what this community will be in the future.
The only way for Andover to grow and thrive in the future is if we have smart growth. It's about making those intersections safe so we have that connection between the town and the schools. It's about enhancing this incredible resource we have in the river. It's about those mill buildings coming to life again.
So right now the zoning in the area that we're looking at, it's a mess. There's a lot of different parts and they're kind of conflicting, and it makes it really difficult for there to be a cohesive feel in the area. And if we can change the zoning to show what the people of Andover really want, we can make it a place that people are really drawn to.
I want to allay everybody's fears. This does not make for a sweeping change. It makes for opportunity.
We now have a group of people who are saying, let's build together a community that all of us want to retain and want to grow with and want to live in.
I think that the future of Andover is very bright.
I'm really excited about the town meeting in May. I would love to see the new zoning laws passed.
What excites me is about expanding our downtown and just creating a better Andover for future generations.